we're a small government party, but we use government. Give me one extra thing the government should be doing to help tackle poverty. Michael, can I start with you?
We should make it easier for businesses to hire, and that may involve providing some form of stick as well as carrot, children and young people who've been in care. Because if we were to look at one group in society who face distinct, in some cases they feel almost insurmountable challenges, it's those children who've grown up in local authority care or who've had multiple placements with foster parents. And I think that ensuring that they're in an environment where they can be trusted and valued and be part of something bigger than themselves is important. And I don't know whether or not the state, I won't presume to design the exact policy tools at the moment. I don't know what it is that the state can do, but we can certainly do more to help people who have been in local authority care make the transition from being a young person at the age of 18 or 21 to being an adult who feels that they can contribute to society and enjoy the dignity that, that they deserve.
Sajid, how would you expand the state?
That wasn't your question. You said, what more can we do?
Sure.
We can make it even easier for someone to start a business or think about being an entrepreneur. I had a young lady come to my constituency a year ago, and she said, I can't get a job. I'm a graduate, I can't get a job. After chatting for a while, I said to her, what are you good at? And she, basically, kind of long story short, she's good at papier-mâché. I said, I will get you a stall on Bromsgrove Market, and you will sell your papier-mâché. She said, I can't do that, it won't work. Anyway, now she's earning a living, she's employed people, has done really well, and we can do a lot more to promote that kind of thing. Can I just come back to your other question? I've got a good point. Yeah, I could. See, my parents are from Asia, and they taught me that family was at the heart of everything. And of course, they're absolutely right, like the Pope. And it just, what you said just reminded me of, I'm not saying they're like the Pope, the same point. What you said reminded me of when I moved to Singapore with my family and my wife, who's here tonight. We were
Laura.
We were looking for a property for our family in just to rent in Singapore. And wherever property you went to, so if it was advertised as a 3-bed, you went along, it actually had 4 beds. If you went to a 4-bed, it had 5 beds and so forth. And I asked after a while, I said, why are they like misadvertising almost? And the answer was that that's Auntie's room. And Auntie's room is the room for your parents or your grandparents. And it is actually just assumed that when you get a place, you will have a place for your parents. You will look after your parents. And I think we can do with a bit more of that Asian attitude in Britain.
Absolutely. So build homes, but not just rabbit hutches. Right, the final question, because time is almost out, but I'm going to ask, as a sort of an opportunity to sum up as well, why you are Conservatives for social justice, why you are the good right, why you want to defeat poverty. And we'll start with Michael, we'll go along that way and finish with Ian. But what has the Conservatives done in recent times to fight poverty of which you are most proud?
Oh, gosh.
Do you want us to come back to you?
Education?
No. It's unfair. It's unfair.
Can't mention home care.
I think changing the position on child protection and adoption, because I think that for a host of reasons, there are biases against intervening. We've talked about the importance of families, I completely agree. But there are biases against intervening in circumstances where you have a child whose biological parents may be living lives of such squalor or whatever, that child is at risk or in danger. And there's a natural bias against rescuing that child from those circumstances. But I actually think that there are times when children do need to be rescued from those circumstances and that they do need to be placed with a family that have the capacity to offer them love and stability and security. And the Prime Minister has led a consistent campaign, and Edward Timpson has been his principal lieutenant in doing so, which has significantly increased the number of children who are taken out of homes where they're at risk, placed for a brief period in local authority care, and more rapidly adopted. And I think that's a fantastic thing.
Right.
I'd say cutting income tax for lowest earners and taking 4 million of them out of income tax altogether.
And is low tax at the heart of your conservative philosophy for the...
I think it is one of the most conservative things to do, because not just just for the sake of it, but if you think it through, it means that people get to keep more of the money that they earn, and they are much better judge, I think, of deciding how to use that to help themselves and their family than often the state is.
Polly Toynbee, if she was here,
it sounds like she is here. She's been mentioned so much.
Would say 85% of the benefit of continuing to raise the income tax threshold goes to the top 50% of earners. Do you think it's a policy that's exceeded its usefulness from a poverty fighting?
Yeah, well, I'd say there's... First of all, I'd question her numbers. Secondly, I would say that there are many ways to cut the tax burden on low paid, and income tax is just one of them.
Okay. Ruth?
I think it's jobs. I mean, I think we took decisions when we came into office as part of the coalition in 2010, where I think now it's really easy to forget that we had the David Blanchfords of this world telling us we'd be 4 million unemployed. We had George Osborne being pilloried in the press and in papers and on television that should have known better. And we stuck to the course. And there is a reason why our unemployment level is the rate that it is. There's a reason that we have created more jobs in our country, net jobs, than in the rest of the EU put together. There is a reason why our youth unemployment rate for under 25s is less than a third of that of Spain and Greece and other countries. And it's particularly that youth unemployment number. And it's still stubbornly high in comparison to the whole labour market. But if you are not employed between the ages of 18 to 25, you squander the capital that you have as a person, your human capital, later on in life. And we have to continue with our efforts to make sure that young people have positive destinations after school that leads them into employment in the shortest amount of time, so that their human capital isn't squandered and that they can have the lives that they deserve for themselves and they will work for and that we should support.
Well, all of those things, really, I suppose, but some more as well. I mean, the point that Ruth is making is very important, which is when I came in, one of the things that we said we would do relentlessly from the beginning is two things. First of all, one is we need to free up the economy to create those jobs. So what Sajid was talking about is absolutely critical as well. So that you actually, if without the job creation, we have a lot of poverty, because without work, the economy doesn't function and people can't, as families, derive their benefits. So the first thing was to relentlessly pursue the policy that lots of people said was wrong, was to actually make the economy work. The second thing is, as businesses then develop the jobs, the important thing is not just jobs, because there had been previously, when the economy had grown, a stock of people who had been left behind. So that in actual fact what ended up with the last Labour government was we were bringing in more and more people in to fill jobs here, but there were British people who were not working. So the second bit is to try and work out how we get more British people who are beyond the labour market back into the labour market, and recognising that work is the way to move themselves as far as they possibly can out of poverty. And so the key bit here has been to structure the rather complex system that we've had to make sure that, first of all, when someone walks into a job centre, they don't see themselves as walking in because they're unemployed. They see themselves as on a journey. So they sign a claimant commitment now. It's like a contract of work. That says what the state will do for you as obligated. This is what we want you to do. Here's what happens if we do it all right. Here's what happens if we don't. Clear from the beginning. Yes, people say it's terrible, the sanctions process, but the whole process is about reward, but it's also about saying to people there is a contract here. And what has happened is we have more people now from social housing in work since records began. There are more people who live in social housing who were left behind who are now back in work. There are fewer children living in households who do not work than since records began. And this is not an accident. And the final thing will be, and I'm going to, the universal credit will deliver an even greater drive and an even greater encouragement to people to work up all the hours and go into full-time work, because I stand by a very simple principle. The best route out of poverty is a job, it's hope, and it's opportunity, and your family and you will benefit not just from poverty for money, but the poverty of ambition will be banished because you believe that you can achieve all that your qualities can allow you to do. That's the route out of poverty.